Okay, so my name is Hugh Benjamin. I have a company, I Think an Idea. We do internet marketing. And I wanted to have you on today because you had told me about LOLAS acting school, and we've known each other in the past. And I know that you have a great history of really helping people out in the industry. And I really wanted to gain some insight as far as how the industry is changing. What are some of the trends that you've seen through your school, through your career? So I'll ask you a bunch of questions,
Okay.
and I'll bring up my questions right now. First of all, if you could just kind of tell me about your background and how you got started in the industry, and perhaps some of the people that you've worked with, and a little bit about your acting school and how it operates. So that'll be the first segment.
That's a few questions at once.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
started in the industry about 25 years ago, 30 years ago, getting close to that now. Just wanted to be an actor. So I had a guy tell me he was that I'd be a good actor, and so
Right.
he asked me to go to his acting school. But it wasn't a come on because he helped me out a lot. And so so I started with a class. And just started going from there. He actually helped me get involved in theater, which is my first love. I mean, if I can make a living in theater, but I do TV and movies now. I've been doing them for quite some time. Made quite a few movies. Been in Academy Award-winning movies. Been in small movies, and hit TV shows, commercials, music videos, anything where they'll pay me a union wage to go work. So. I've worked with some movie stars. I worked with James Franco, Ashley Judd, Scott Kahn, Mark Pellegrino, Val Lauren, some people on new TV shows, Riley Schmidt on American Horror Story, Scream Queens. Nestor Carbonell was in my class at one time. Scott
And
Wolf.
so as you worked with those people, Brian, what are some of the commonalities that you've seen as far as their work ethic, their mindset, and did you find that there was any similar attitudes towards their craft, or from a business perspective? Because I work with businesses, and one of the things that I was talking to somebody about a week ago was that whether you have whether you're in the talent business, like you're an actor or a performer or a musician, or you have a traditional business, a lot of it has to do with your mindset behind.
Oh yeah.
And your commitment. So maybe you could share some of those aspects of, you've worked with James Franco and Charisma Carpenter and Mark Pellegrino, who I know as well. What are some of the commonalities that you see that separates them from everybody else?
Is a complete work ethic, a complete mindset about getting work in the business, about being an actor, about working on the craft every day. Mark Pellegrino and I used to do rehearsals that would last for hours, improvisational rehearsals. Sometimes these last for hours. We take them out to dinner. When I first started, when I was doing a film one time, and James Franco came down to be an extra in the film. He was 19 years old, and he asked me how I got to the level of acting that I got to. And I said, well, when I first started, I rehearsed 10 times a week. I had a full-time job and a baby. I said, if you'd like to do what I do, then you will follow that rule. And he went and he rehearsed all day, every day. I'm not kidding. And then he became a international movie star, and it was because of a work ethic. You know what I mean? He never stopped working at it, no matter what happened, whether he was making a lot of money, booking job after job. He just kept working all the time. He has no downtime. And he's probably the most famous person that I've done 28 projects with him. So it's the most famous person I've worked with him.
Wow.
Yeah. And Ashley Judd, we had a reading list, as you know. We had to do a lot of reading when we were coming up and rehearsing, and she would always be at the top of the list. Everybody who I talk about, who you mentioned, worked. Scott Kahn we were in class together when he was 19 years old. And I always felt like Scott Kahn, on his father's name, could have gone out and done just kids' movies, teen movies or whatever. He decided
Right.
to study acting, and when he got into the school, he decided that he liked to write as well. So he's written many plays that have been published. You can buy him at Samuel French. He's written movies, and when he's obviously the star of a hit TV show. But his work ethic went to writing and directing, theater, films. So all these people who could have rested on their laurels started working. They just kept working besides that. And I always say it's just like Kate Blanchett, who in between a movie, her and her husband were the artistic directors of the National Theatre of Australia, and they do plays, movie, play. She never rested. And I think she's one of the great actors of our time. And so I go to her and other people when I see the same example of people that I've been with, the way I went about it. And then we have movie stars that are the same way that I respect, that put all their time into acting.
Yeah, when you mentioned that with their work ethic, I've worked with some celebrities as well within the entertainment business because before I had an event planning company and some of the businesses that we work with as well. I find there's a lot of commonalities from a mindset of business.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I think what you just mentioned helps shed light on this whole illusion that a lot of people just kind of stumble upon success or get
Right.
like overnight success. And I noticed
it can happen. That's what brings people out here to fall in,
Right.
because it can happen, and it's 1 in a million that someone comes out here and just gets a job when most people work at it. See, I always relate it to, when I say this in class all the time, especially with beginning students, that they graduate, I don't know how many thousands of lawyers a year. And
Right.
There's some lawyers that make millions of dollars a year, and there's some that make 40 grand a year. And how do they go about it? I mean, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Insurance business, lawyers, doctors. Some people are getting by and some people are making millions. And it's the same thing that we talk about, the work ethic, the mindset. How do you get to the top? No one's giving that to them. No one's handing them millions of dollars a year. How much work do they put behind it to get to the top? And it's no different in showbiz.
Right. Like some of the clients that we've worked with before that are celebrities, I noticed that, it's like any business. It's not just them that's exerting effort. Like they have 2 or 3 personal assistants. They have a business manager. They have a production company. They have an agent. They have a publicist. They have someone that does their social media marketing. I mean, they literally have a team of people working for them, and they treat it like a business. I mean, they take it very seriously.
Right.
I mean, you've worked on a lot of films, even some Academy Award winning films, and with some great directors and great actors. And so one of the things that I see, even just in the traditional business world, like whether you're starting a hardware store or a pet store, or you have a profession that you've started, is I think where a lot of people lack the education has to do with the business mindset. And I know I was at the event when like Rod Steiger came out, and also Jeff Goldblum's manager, and talked about relationships. And so I think there's a lot of people that even in traditional business that aren't performers, where people start up a company and they just say, well, I have a company, but they don't educate their brain on what it takes to actually run a business.
Right.
So with the internet has changed a lot of different things. And I see people up and coming that have, they've put their performance out there. They've not only started working on their craft, but they've actually started like sharing it with people. And when people see it, it can create other opportunities for them. So how do you feel that the internet and technology has changed the industry over the last 5 or 10 years? And I guess the question were for you, like if you were an investor and you were investing in a film and you were going to put $50 million in it, what kind of people would you look for, right, that would help you get a return on your investment? what would be your mindset if you were taking 50 million of your dollars and putting in a film? If you were looking for people that could show up, right? They could show up every day and have the right switches turned on that
Right.
would give you a good profit. What kind of characteristics would you look for in hiring those people?
Well, exactly everything we've just been talking about. Someone has a work ethic, someone that shows up, and someone that has a history of getting things done. Whether it's getting it done on film, someone who shows up and has a good work ethic, someone who brings it out on the film, successful like that. And if I'm hiring a producer to be on there, I want someone that's on the ball 24/7, someone who has a history of being like that. Of course, a writer. How do you work with these people? I mean, collaboration on a set is very important between the writer, the director, the actors, and so it'd be someone that can meld with each other. But again, it has to be the history and the work ethic. And a lot of people, a lot of casting people nowadays like to see people that came up in theater, and I think that comes from the people coming from England. They don't think it's a joke over there. A lot of people here in
Right.
America are losing their jobs, and I'm not actually happy about losing jobs. Our superheroes are English people. You know what I mean, and British, and good for them for working so hard. But Spider-Man's American to me. That's all I got to say. And
Right.
so they put a lot of time behind it, casting people, looking for people with theater backgrounds, or looking people who have worked to get where they are. You know what I mean? So they're used to working. When I teach my students, I tell them they have to rehearse in between class because I want them to work every day, and it's not a surprise when they show up on set and they have to work 5 days in a row, 5 days for 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Then they're used to working every day. So I want people that work like I do. I want producers, directors, crew people to work like I do, which is work at it every day and take it seriously. But you know what? I mean, I also enjoy it. I like someone to come up and see it's their passion, because you can't buy that. If it's not your passion, then it's not your passion.
Right. Yeah. What do you, one of the things that I think is really big in any kind of business is paying attention
Hmm.
and having the ability to listen. And you've worked with directors, I've worked with directors before, and they're spending $100,000-$200,000 a day.
Hmm.
And so, when it comes to somebody being well studied or well rehearsed, and also the ability to open up your two ears, right? And,
Hmm.
and listen to what someone's saying, because like they have an overall vision for their project, their business, what they're investing millions of dollars into. Maybe tell me a little bit about listening and how that could make or break you, because I know you've had lots of experience, and I've been on sets and I've worked with different people, and I think maybe one of the things they want to know is how's their day going to go? Like, are they going to have an easy time
Oh,
working
for
with
sure.
someone, or is it going to be high maintenance where, like, I mean, we all know that if you have bad sound or bad lighting, you might as well just scrap the rest of the project.
Yeah.
But how can the wrong attitude impact that?
Well, I worked on the well, this isn't the wrong attitude. I was just going straight with listening, and I'm listening
Right,
to what you said.
right,
So, when I worked on the Lost World Jurassic Park, we accidentally almost ran a guy's crotch into a pole. It's the truth in this
right.
scene. And Steven Spielberg jumped up. Everybody laughed, and Steven Spielberg jumped up from behind Video Village and came out, and he said, "We got to get this guy a supporter, because he was going to run the guy's crotch into the pole." And I was like, Steven, you're not going to." He said, "I have to." And that's what I'm talking about, listening. He listened to the reaction, and then we took this guy, we ran him into the pole, and there was like 200 extras on the set that day, and they all laughed. You know what I mean? He was
Yep.
just aware of what people wanted. And he, the most powerful guy in the world at the time, was just listening and observing what was going on. It's so important to be able to do that. When you get on a set, they want to know that you're in tune to them all the time. Because especially if you're starting off like you're going to be a day player, they want to know that you're in tune, because they'll be doing more work with the stars. That's just how it is. And that's how it is, especially in television. But they want to know that you've been watching and observing the whole time, that you can jump into the situation and go with what they've set up, because they didn't set it up for you. They set it up for everybody else, but you have to be listening. You have to have the attitude. You have to show up. And you talk about having an attitude. I mean, as you know, you can go 12 hours of standing around, and that's just a business, you know, and that's just a business we chose. As Chaim Roth said in The Godfather, this is the business we chose. And so, you know, listening, observing, and being ready to go. And in my class, I keep it kind of light in the classroom, and then when the work gets on stage, if need be, we're serious. And I have a lot of scenes that I have and online, and you've seen someone. I always say the proof is in the pudding. You have to be able to listen and observe and be able to be plugged into something. You don't have. Jeff Goldblum told me years ago, they didn't hire you to prepare on stage. They didn't prepare you. They hired you to do a job when they're ready for you. That's how they hired you. And that was, you know, Jeff was my teacher. We worked in plays together. That's invaluable, things like that. You know what I mean? So when you're talking about attitude and you're talking about listening, you're talking about being on set and available for whatever they need at that time, you know, because you'll walk on set, you may have 3 lines. You may have 6 pieces of business to do before the 3 lines, and you better be ready for it.
Let me ask you a question. You know, you talked about being on a set with Steven Spielberg, and obviously you've done 28 different films with like the James Franco's projects, and you know James Franco is working on a lot of different projects out there. From a point of attention to detail, right? When you know, like there's a famous saying that the way you do, like the way you do something is the way you do everything.
Right.
And so when people get opportunities, whether it be in, you know, in the entertainment business or in business, how important do you feel that impression is, whether they have a few lines or whether they have, you know, they're a main character in the whole film? Do you think that people such as Steven Spielberg and James Franco, do they pay attention to everything? Yes or no?
Yes. They pay attention to everything. And you can tell it more when it pisses them off. Not that Spielberg got pissed off. He was a great guy. But yeah, they pay attention to every detail. And I'll tell you this, I had an audition 20 years ago for one line from 90210. And I was a prison guard, and Luke Perry's character, I think his name was Dylan, was coming to see his father in prison. And I had one line that said something like, you know the routine. And so I went in. The casting director was a great casting director. She cast a lot of things. It was a big hit series. And you could tell that she was like seeing these guys for one line. And you know what? I mean, she's just human. It was just like people are coming in for this one line. And she had her head down and she said, do you have any questions? I said, yes, since he comes into the prison all the time to see his father, do we have a pre-existing relationship? And she looked up and she was like, I don't know. Why don't you ask the director that when you see him tomorrow? So she gave me a call back without me delivering my one line, because I had taken the time to be specific. You know, you treat one word, one line like it's 10 pages. You have to. It's your job as an actor. And there was a Philip Seymour Hoffman. We were playing this in class a few weeks ago. There's a clip of him talking about he had an acting teacher that was so right when he said, you show up wherever you are and you do the best that you can. If someone has rented a space to audition you in a garage, and they paid $50 for that garage, they've taken the time to pay money to put on an audition for you to show up and do the best job you can, because that day you were given an opportunity to act. And if you do that every time, you'll carry that into your regular auditions, your workshops in front of casting people and agents, and you'll carry it onto the set, and people will take notice.
Yeah. You know, one of the things, like as a marketing agency that works for traditional businesses, I find that there is there's a lot of people that, they start a business and they really don't even do their research. They just kind of like, they put up a sign and they say, okay, we're in business. We used to paint houses, so we're going to start a painting company. And they, they leave their previous boss and they go and they start a painting company.
Mm-hmm.
And what is comical to me is, as we work with some of these businesses, some that do $5 million a year and some that do, almost $1 billion a year, you can tell which businesses are really successful, because the businesses that are really successful, that are doing like $1 billion a year, they have, they've done a lot of research. Mm-hmm. And they know their competitors. They know exactly what the market can yield for them. They know what their brand is. They're in tune with like the vision and the purpose behind their business and what their business contributes to other people and where they get value. And when I see some of the smaller businesses that are like, they're really like trying to grow and they're really frustrated and they don't really know what's going on, there's some commonalities with them. Like they don't track any of their marketing. They don't believe in the value behind it. They're kind of living kind of hand to mouth, like kind of paycheck to paycheck as a business. They don't have like a marketing strategy. They're just kind of going, they're going with the wind.
Right.
And so when I look at that and I compare it to, and I know that, you and I have a similar upbringing from some of the success principles of whether it be like Think and Grow Rich or 7 Habits of Highly Effective People,
right,
or some of these success books or biographies where you read about other people that have done what you've done, so that you can figure out the formula and you can learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
One of the things that is awesome is the fact that you can be in the entertainment industry and you can make millions of dollars. But that can also become an illusion too, because people think that it's just simple, that you just walk into it.
Right.
And I was watching a documentary on Michael Jackson the other night about just the passion and the energy that he put into his craft. And they actually read off one of his journals. And in his journals, it talked about him being the best that he could be, that he was going to transform the space of the entertainment business. He was going to pick up where other people left off, like Fred Astaire and some of the famous people that had made it before him. And he had talked about how he studied their films and watched their films.
Right.
And I remember like growing up, even in high school, when we played other football teams, we would watch those films and we would study the films so that when we were going to compete against those teams, that we had that inside information. Right. And I wish there was people that were more thorough in life that would actually think about what path they want to go down with their purpose in life, and then go and interview those people.
Right.
That are where they want to be, and read books about what those people have been through. Yeah. So that they could learn from other people's mistakes and other people's journeys.
Well, as you know, Andrew Carnegie hired Napoleon Hill to do just that when he wrote Think and Grow Rich. He interviewed those people. So one of the most successful books from the richest man in America at that time is based on exactly what you're saying. Yeah, there's a history of that, and it's why don't people do more of that?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be a doctor and you're going to invest 10 years of your life, and you're going to spend, maybe $400,000 in schooling.
Right.
And I mean, you have a 10-year plan there, and then there's no guarantee after you go through the 10 years that you'll actually become a doctor. And then once you become a doctor, you realize there's some stress that comes along with that and some anxiety. And it would make sense that you would go and spend time with the doctor for maybe a couple of days of your life before you invest 10 years of your life.
Right.
And so the reason why I bring this up is I think with technology, there's some great knowledge that we can find on Google when it comes to like how other people are becoming successful with exposure on the internet. But then there's also a lot of great education that people can tap into. And I think growing up before, books were more prevalent, where now people go on Google.
Right.
But my biggest question is, when people come into your class, and let's just say they just came out here from another state, or they have these dreams, when you start sharing with people about being educated about the craft and what it takes to become successful, which really is not acting, it's anything in life, right? It's your business. It's
Exactly.
if you want to make millions of dollars in any kind of industry, there is a difference between excellent and average.
Right.
And so do you feel that people within your industry are prepared enough when they actually come into your class, or do you feel like it's a big eye opener when you start sharing some of these principles with people?
Well, I think it's both. I think it's 50-50. I think some people come in, and we always ask people when they come in, what have you been successful in? What have you been successful in? And a lot of times they're sheepish. Oh, I never did anything, but they got straight A's. Well,
Right.
how did you work? How did you get straight A's? Well, I studied every day, 3, 4, 5 hours every day. I have a student now who's a doctor. He is a doctor. He said he had to read 18 hours a day for 2 years. And he became what most people in the world aren't, a doctor. He's a trauma room doctor. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everybody who comes in has been good. Let's just say they're good at video games. It's not a joke. It's what people do nowadays. What do you do? I played video games 8 hours a day. How did you do in your groups? You know, well, I won. And you played out 8 hours. You know what I mean? They studied something. So you can relate that to them. We have a lot of people that were athletes, and I got a guy coming next month who's kind of a rock star in the Midwest. How did it happen? Well, you know, they work all the time. You know, Mark Foster the People, is a friend of mine. Before he made it so big, hey, Mark, you want to go hang out? I got to go work on a song. Hey, I've got to go home and practice. Hey, all these people that we talked about from the beginning of this conversation about how hard they work, the people make it work. So some people come in and think they're going to read a few lines, and that's great if that's what they want to do. You know what I mean? And I do think sometimes it's a big shock to them that the work that you have to put into it. But if we go back to the people coming from England now who are studying so hard, that's how it's supposed to be done. So yes, I do think it's a shock for some people, and other people who come here with success at anything know the time they had to put into it. And if you just relate it to them like that, then they understand that you know, that's what needs to be done if I'm to be successful in anything.
Right. And so I saw your website. You guys have your website, which is lolasactingschool.com. And as I was, and I'll put it in the chat. You know, one of the things that I noticed when I was on. Can you see me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the things that I noticed when I was on there was when I watched the videos, how organic and natural the acting was. You know, there's a lot of schools out there where they teach people to say lines a certain way, and you know, they memorize the lines. And
Right.
When I looked at the videos at your school, one of the things that really grabbed my attention was that I was like, I don't even see any acting. Like it looks like a real life situation, and there's no like dry periods. It was all kind of up and down, where there was like laughter and there was people getting serious, and there was like, you know, this natural element of just expression and connecting. And I think that's, you know, when people go to the movies or they watch a good TV show, because there's so many TV shows out there that you can see the acting and you can see the corniness of it. And that's one thing that I thought was really great about a bunch of the scenes that I watched. Maybe tell me a little bit about how your school works. And I know lately you've actually started putting up stuff on YouTube.
Right.
And, you know, there's been a lot of people that have gotten discovered on YouTube, not only within business, but also within the entertainment market. I mean, you look at like Justin Bieber, or you look at Katy Perry. I mean, these are people that started singing and working on their craft and putting up videos on YouTube. And then, you know, audience attracts, you know, more people. And then all of a sudden people know about these people. So you've actually started shooting scenes at your school.
Mm-hmm.
You have scene nights, but you've started putting videos and actually loading the videos up to YouTube
Right.
and letting students use that as a tool so
Mm-hmm.
that they can actually have like a reference point of like some of their work
Right.
that they're working on. And I think the work's like phenomenal based on what I've seen
Thanks.
compared to other places and other shows that I've gone to,
Right.
is just a very organic nature. So maybe talk about a couple principles within your school and how you educate people on the business of acting, from a working perspective, because I know you're a working actor too. So.
Yeah, well, I do say that I take it from the set and bring it into the classroom when I tell people, how it goes, how it goes on the set and what they're going to be preparing for. And my
Yeah.
technique is all about, it's a rehearsal process so that you're ready when you step on the stage. And it's based on the Sanford Meisner technique. And I believe that's what Mr. Meisner wanted, was for everybody to be prepared. And one of my quotes is, I teach art, not science. Even though it's based on a technique, you have to be able to, shift and adjust with people, because there's a lot of people that really want to do this, but they're not as rigid. They can't be held as rigid as some other people, but they're honestly talented people, and you have to help them find their way. So how do I explain that to you? It's that everybody is different. I can't tell you a certain technique I use, but I look at a person on the stage and I'm like, this is what this person needs to do today. This is what this person needs to work on today. And it may be different from what someone else needs to. But I encourage a lot. I don't yell at new people for not acting correctly on stage, or they wouldn't be in an acting school. Why do they come to me? So I say, you don't know what you're doing. Well, yeah, buddy, that's why I came here. You know what I mean? So it's all about fixing it on stage, one step at a time, and creating exercises as you go that may be on the spot for these people, and letting them know, what they may have to go through to develop this character to make it look so truthful on stage. And of course, there's a lot of exercises we do, and reading books, reading on Google. I mean, I love books, but Google's out there for people to read from and do research and find out through the reading and watching. Every student, every class, I ask them to bring in something to talk about that has motivated them or touched them emotionally. And I want an example of that, because we all have to be searching for what moves us, because that's all we care about. Is when we watch people on a movie, the people that we really enjoy, we want to see what they're going through. We want them to carry on us on our journey. So people have to learn about what moves them, and then they take it into their exercises. So it's a constant daily search for what means something to you. And as you open yourself up as a person, then we find scenes that work with that, and then you can move this person. See, you can't act anything you don't understand. So in the beginning, when we find a person, what motivates them and what they're going to, we'll pick a scene that fits that person, right? Then that person realizes, if I understand this, then I can act it, and I don't have to act it. I don't have to, I can come out and just genuinely be truthful about it. But after you've had these beginning scenes that are so close to your personality, then what does it take to get to something that is not your straight behavior? What is the time commitment? What is the book, the research, the Google, YouTube videos? Watch people going through what you're trying to, go through in this scene, right? And just learn how to bring it back to yourself. So it's a lot of trial and error, but I encourage trial and I encourage error.
Do you have you ever seen people that just worked on their craft in class and ended up getting jobs from working on their craft in class? I know there's a lot of people that will they'll go out there and they'll take, like a cold reading class where they read off the page and they're told like how to do the lines. And I've always told people that if you work on your craft, the opportunity will find you.
Oh yeah.
And so maybe tell me a couple stories of maybe some of the people who have been in your class where maybe somebody is doing a project and they need someone and they see the person's work and they just call them up.
Yeah, no, I've had that in the last year. We've had several students get into people's projects, and they call me and ask me about people. And I feel like it's my job, as long as I've been around, to help these younger students get representation, get get in parts, and always be available. And people will call me, and I think and I'll send them the scene, a reel, or something that we have going on. And I always go back to Danny McBride helped David Gordon Green on his student project. Danny McBride shouldn't have been in Pineapple Express. You know what I mean? There was no reason, because it was a big budget Hollywood movie with stars in it, and he got in because he helped David Gordon Green on his student film. And I worked with Danny McBride on As I Lay Dying, and I asked him about this. And I told him I bring it up all the time about what he did, and he said, "Thank you, man. Thanks for that." We said, "Thank you, man." So that was my best Danny McBride. So he said, so Danny McBride made what after that? 50 million? I don't know his personal stuff, but he helped the guy on his student project. So we have all sorts of people helping people on their projects nowadays and kind of going up together. And the thing is, you brought up how the business has changed. I think there's more opportunity than when we first started out, and I'm a lot older than you are, but when we first started out, you just had to go and audition and get in a TV show or a movie. And now there's so many ways that you can make it, and and you can get paid. You know what I mean? Even if it's $100 a day, there's so many places to get $100 a day, $275 plus 10%. $335, $562. There's so many different union scales nowadays. You know what I mean? But you can go out there and you can make a project. And I tell my students that everybody should be writing and working on a project. When I was Seth Rogen, I was working on a project with James Franco, and Seth Rogen came down to talk to the people about it. And Seth said that if you ask me for help, and I ask you what you've done and you don't show me anything, I'm not interested, because you can do something on your phone. You know what I mean? And Seth is a guy, I work with Seth on Funny People. You talk about a work ethic. What was he, 15, 16? He just started writing all day, every day. That's what he does now. He writes all the time. Him and his partner, Evan, they just write. Pretty successful, right? Yeah. So, but there's many ways to get your projects out there and get seen now and get in festivals. You can write. They have pitch festivals for pilots, for movies. I mean, the opportunities are out there now for everybody. And you can also make money just getting enough followers. I'm working with these guys, Third String Kickers. They just put their project out. They got followers on YouTube, and they got so many followers. They get to use
Third String Kickers is a company where they give money based on the amount of followers you have on social media.
No. Third String Kickers is a couple of guys, Danny and Alan, and they make all these projects, but they have enough followers where they get to use the YouTube stages, which I haven't been down there, state of the art. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. And I don't know if they're making. Yeah,
I think they're in Playa del Vista.
Yeah, they are Playa Vista. Yeah, and so these people, they get to use the stages down there because they have so many people, following them. And I worked with them because I want to work with all these, all these people and their projects and their new media. I think it's great. I think it's great that they're finding the way to go, and I benefit. I benefit by that, by getting involved in these projects.
I actually heard too that a lot of times in this day and age with social media and the way that casting is going, that a lot of times they'll look for someone that actually has a large following on social media, whether it be Twitter or YouTube. Yeah, they'll cast them in a project because now they've already got that background. One of the things that people want is they want exposure. So, if you get somebody that's really active on social media and the internet, by you casting someone like that in your project, you have exposure to maybe 100,000 people.
Right.
That could really help out a project, because I know this day and age with films, I know a lot of people when they go to raise money for films, because I've been involved in setting up meetings with investors and producers, is they look at the whole package and they look at it like an asset. They go, okay, well, what do we have? This person is able to bring 20 million people to the theaters for this kind of a genre.
Right.
This kind of a genre. So traditionally, basketball films bring $500 million if they're the right basketball film. You can get 500 million people that will actually watch that. So when people make films, they look at the chemistry of the layout of the business plan, and then they go, okay, so we need this person who's like big on social media. We need somebody else that can bring maybe the X, Generation X. We need somebody on the film that can bring maybe the element of, Robert De Niro and his group of people. And when they put together a project, they look at it as a business versus just like casting.
Right.
So
I have a student that got cast in a project. I saw where he had been cast, and he brought me in the letter, and then they kicked him out for Nick Jonas, because he had
really?
4 million Twitter followers. Yeah, that's business. It's business. So that's the way they went with it. So it happens. Look, I've been casting films that I got, axed out of for names. You know what I mean? It's happened more than 4 or 5 times in my career. So look, it's just the way it goes. That's his business, Yeah.
I mean, I think ultimately you got to build a brand around who you represent, and do yourself better than anybody else can do yourself. Make sure that who you represent and what genre you fit into and what niche you fit into, so that you can really, I think, maximize the qualities of you. So how would somebody get in touch with you? As we go to end this, this lab session here. How would someone contact your school, and what's the process, and how would they get in touch with you if they were interested in taking class or working with you, either as a teacher or as an actor?
Well, they can go to lolasactingschool.com. We have all the information there. We have our email addresses. We have our work phone number there. So they can just go on there and see. I always tell them to go look at the scenes that are up there. If they like the work, then this is the place to go. They're always welcome to come in and audit, sit in, talk to me afterwards, see what they liked about it, see what they're looking for. I've been around town a long time. My father was an actor, so I've been around this business a long time. So, I have a lot of things I can tell the people. I have a lot of advice and just experience, strength, and hope. So, so anytime they're welcome to come down, sit in, and see what we do. I'll throw them up on stage if they got it.
Right. So you let them come down and watch the class and observe how you guys work.
I encourage that. So.
And when's the next? When are you guys doing the next showcase or scene night? Do you have that on the schedule? Is that coming?
Well, we're looking for mid-March, but it might be April because a lot of people are working.
Right.
Our students are really starting to work. They've done 3 or 4 films, and one is recurring on a new David Spade TV show, and so they're really starting to pop out there. And I'm really happy about that. Really excited because that's what we do. We put people to work. Our thing is we shape working actors, and we tell them how to get a job. So,
what are your personal 3 favorite people that you look to as role models, and why?
Wow, my 3 favorite people. You're talking about living or dead?
Either.
My hero growing up was Pistol Pete Maravich.
Okay.
And if you read a book about him, he's one of the greatest basketball players in history, especially, one of the top 5 in college. And it was his work ethic. He was known as a ball handler, and he would dribble a basketball, riding his bike. He would dribble a basketball, riding in the back seat of his parents' car, and he would dribble a basketball in the movie theater in Louisiana. And I'm sure it
Right.
bothered people. He'd go
I'm sure
half the
they thought
movie
he
with
was
his
nuts.
left. He would go half the movie with his left hand, and then half the movie he'd move over across the aisle and go half the movie with his right hand. So I say that because it's what we've been talking about from the beginning. How are you going to be the best at what you do?
Right.
So, yeah. So that's one thing. One person I like. Who else? I like Steven Spielberg. Um, I like him because I worked with him on Lost World Jurassic Park, and he and Janusz, his cinematographer, would scream at each other. And Janusz would scream, "Steven, I want to get this picture. We have to get this shot." And Steven would say, "No, we don't need the shot. No, I don't want that shot." And he's, "Steven, we have to." And they'd go at it. And I just thought, oh my God, I know I said it earlier. This is the most powerful man in show business at that time.
Right.
And Janusz could yell it because he was passionate about. They were collaborating. They were making, and they made, and I think Janusz has won a couple Academy Awards, one for Schindler's List, and and actually he was the DP on Funny People when we talked about Lost World Jurassic Park. Anyway,
Right.
I don't know. I just like the way he goes about things. I like his passion. I like that he knew from a young age that he wanted to be a director. I like that he got his own trailer on the Universal lot when he wasn't supposed to be there. He snuck on.
Right.
I like that. I liked everything. He just wanted to be a filmmaker. And I ate lunch with him, and he talked to me. He talked to me for an hour. I wouldn't let him eat almost. And he didn't know me, and I was nobody. And he gave me the time of day about everything I wanted to talk about. So that was good.
Right.
And then my third favorite person in the world is probably my son, who's my co-teacher, my partner in this acting world. And to watch him develop as an artist, and watching him now do everything that you and I have talked about, the reading, the writing, the rehearsing, the putting it up there. I couldn't be prouder and happier that he's taken his life in this direction, and that I get to share this with him. And then he teaches with me. And sometimes when I come in from auditions and he's been teaching a class, and I sit back there and listen to him, I think, I wish I could say it like that,
Right.
So
Right.
he's a young person who's grown up with everything we're talking about, the new media and all this, and he's going to be able to put this all into effect. This is someone who's going to be able to tell you everything about all the new media and how it goes into getting acting work.
Does he have a couple minutes to jump on?
Yeah, he does have a couple minutes to jump on. So,
Okay.
Kyle, Patrick, James, Lally, you ready?
That's my all right.
Hugh,
Absolutely.
if I don't talk to you again, thanks so much. It was great.
Oh yeah, I
Great talking
appreciate
to you.
your time, and we'll do this again.
We got to
definitely.
we got to get you on film more. You're looking good nowadays.
Thanks a lot.
So yeah, we got to get you back on the big screen. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Sounds like you had a fun time. Sounds like you enjoyed yourself. Jesus Christ. Oh.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Hugh?
Hey, good. So, how old are you now?
He asked how old am I? I got to defer to my lawyer on that one. I'm kidding. I'm 24.
You're like in your 20s, early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s.
So
I say my age range.
Right. I was gonna be because you're so young. How do you feel that social media and the internet has shifted your focus, perhaps in life, your career? Are you doing things online? Are you more educated about these things based on your surroundings? And talk about that a little bit as far as the
absolutely,
internet.
Absolutely. Social media has just it's an all-encompassing thing now. It's inescapable almost. Sometimes it's a huge deal of pressure, and I see that what's one of the biggest things nowadays is this huge aura of self-promotion. And that's something that's kind of hard for me to fall into because it's easy to describe something you're so passionate about, your craft, your acting, movies you like, theater, productions, plays, musicals, whatever you're interested in, video games, cars, whatever. But it's so hard to promote yourself, I feel. I just always feel silly saying, come see me, come look at this. And that's what all these people are doing. And you find that people that are successful are very confident with their own self-image, and they've created this image of themselves that they provide to the world through social media. And they kind of become their own character. And it's great for people to find their own ways through that.
Right.
And that's what it seems like a lot of people now have to do. And it gets you exposure. And social media is just such a part of everything. You go into auditioning rooms, and sometimes they'll ask you how many followers you have, which is astonishing. But it's the world we live in now.
Right.
But I like it because you can always see like when people are working. People always put up when they're working, and it's really good to see people's work ethic come true. And just to see what people are doing. It's a good way to catch up on people, and it's a good way to keep people interested in what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of casting people and people in the industry will say, yeah, connect with me on Twitter, connect with me on Facebook, send me an email, keep me posted. The great thing about the internet is the internet works while we're sleeping. Like the internet works 24 hours a day, whatever kind of business you're in, the internet is always working either for you or against you. And if you can put enough stuff out there that represents you as a business, as a brand, as a talent, people are going to find that, and they're going to become curious. So, and I know you guys have been doing a lot of that, especially at LOLAS acting school. You guys have been putting up stuff on YouTube. Has there been any stories of people that you guys have filmed something, put it up on YouTube, and now they send the link off to somebody and they get, representation, or because they worked on their craft and they were captured on video?
No, so not necessarily for anything that we put out for LOLAS, but our students, we've had we encourage students to work on their own projects and to bring them into class and to be inspired about doing their own thing, because there's no right way to get ahead in this industry. If you have hard work and determination, you can pave your own way, and a lot of people do that. We've had a couple web series filmed in the intermissions between class or after class. We are more than happy to have people come in that want to make something, and we'll help them. We'll act in it for free. We'll set up stages, and we'll set up anything they need really to get to make sure that they know that it's not about their money. It's about the craft, and it's about helping people realize their dreams, because there's a lot of like cynicism out there in Hollywood now, in the industry, and sometimes I feel like people are taking advantage of, and that's just the most unfortunate thing. And I don't want that anywhere near what anything we do. And so we want to provide like a safe environment, a community, a friendly and collaborative place for people to, if you'll have friends where you can ask them to be part of a project, and they'll be so enthusiastic to help you or to reherse with you, or you need help with an audition here, there, everything. And so but we've had people. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Probably because they have a similar philosophy, and you guys are all on the same page.
Well, you get the stuff you put out is the stuff you're going to get back. So if that's the stuff we have all down our website, is that we can help you. We can help you motivate yourself. We can help you give all these tools, but everything else comes from you, and that's really the most important part: is how far you're willing to take yourself. You get out of this technique, this philosophy, this lifestyle, what you put into it. So if you're constantly moving and mobile, you're going to get a lot of, you want to call it the universe, you want to call it energy, you want to call it God, whatever it is, it's forward motion. And that's really, really important with this, because the second you stop, somebody else is still going. It's just like the internet. Some people don't stop at midnight. And those are the people whose names you remember. Right.
Yeah, no, it definitely gives you an edge. And I think it shows people who's committed. And you guys are doing some great work over there. And I know I've been talking to your father just about, the social media side of it and the great opportunity that you guys have when it comes to really helping people get to where they want to. And not even within acting. I mean, we're talking like any independent films that go out on the film festivals these days, production companies. I mean, even the studios, they all have social media and internet marketing teams that are getting the word out. They're posting content, they're posting clips of films, trailers, videos, all to create a buzz online. So,
just get your name out there. Make sure people know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Right. Exactly. Is there anything else you want to share about just the industry from, your perspective of the experience that you've had? And
well, the industry has changed quite a bit since when I started acting, and when I when I hopped back into it, because I started when I was like 5, 6.
Right.
I was in
earlier
SAG
than that.
at 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny just being almost born into it, grandfathered into it. And grandfather was an actor, father's an actor, I'm an actor. It's funny. I feel like it's almost normal to me, a lot of the things. And so it's strange to see it from an almost objective view, where this is, I've lived in Los Angeles my whole life, traveled to Hollywood usually 2-3 times a week, just for odds and ends, whatever I'm doing. And you see it, and it gives you a different view of it, where it's more accessible. And that's what I think is so beneficial about what we do, is we take away a lot of the scariness of it. When we can break it down in steps, and it's almost a comforting thing to know that it's not this big scary thing to get into, this big industry. There's steps you can take, and there's things you can do to make it easy and make it completely accessible. And I believe that almost anybody can come out and work as an actor if you have the dedication and you have some level of aptitude for it. And I don't think anybody would come out here to try that without some level of aptitude. So all it takes from then on out is you putting your nose to the grindstone and figuring it out.
Cool. No, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I think people need to be educated. I think that's the key. And I'll kind of go back to my same song that I sing, is that everything is a business, and it's the amount of focus that you put into it, and the education and the commitment. Because a lot of times people watch TV and they go on the internet and they get this illusion that everything's simple and easy. And sure, everything's simple and easy, but it still takes work, and it takes commitment, and it takes a plan, and you've got to have some kind of focus of where you're going, or else you end up nowhere. So great job with everything. I saw your videos on the website. I told your father, hey, great job. It looks like he's having a great time. And I can't even tell that he's acting. I thought maybe he recorded that in private somewhere, because it's really, really good. So, but keep up the great work. We'll do a part 2, and then we could perhaps some of the people from your school can come on board, and we can hear some of their stories and get some insights from like their background, where they come from. There's always a lot of really interesting people. I remember I used to go to class with a gentleman before that was actually, he was becoming an actor, and when he wasn't acting, he was actually traveling back and forth to other countries selling like big gemstones, like diamonds and rubies. And so there's always a lot of really interesting people with interesting backgrounds.
We had a student who was he was an ex-Marine, he was a paratrooper, and he would drive up 2 times a week from San Diego to come to class.
Yeah. Yep. No, it makes sense. Totally.
Yeah. It's just people come from all over. We got a couple people from Ohio. We got people from all over the Midwest. Our most recent addition to the class is an 18-year-old kid who came from a town of 900.
Right. What town is that?
What town's Rocky from, Shell?
I don't know. It's right outside of Akron.
It's right outside Akron, but it's like I can't remember the name of it. It's got 900 people in it. Everybody knows each other, and
yep. Yeah, awesome.
That's phenomenal.
Commitment.
The people, yeah. I don't know how people do it. I don't know if I wasn't born out here, if I think I could just go, you know what, I'm just going to pack up all my stuff and head off to Hollywood and make it happen. I don't know anybody there. It's a big, scary place, but I got to give it to those people. They have some kind of otherworldly commitment to come out here, especially if they make it out here. That's the kind of stories you want to hear.
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely really, it's interesting to hear people's stories. I think you learn a lot from it. And I think a lot of people out there would get something from it too. Because, people need to know, like, hey, you're not alone. There's other people that are trying to do what you're trying to do. I mean, we help companies, with internet marketing, and we have people call us, and, some of them are just getting caught up with what Google is and how Google works. And I mean, it's your eyebrows probably go up because it's part of your life, because now you're you're 20 some years old, but we have people that are clients that are 60, 70 years old that are running a company and they have no idea, you know? And so times are changing and change is constant. And so like us as an agency, like we have people that write content, we have writers, we have people that publicize the content on platforms out there that have a lot of readership and traffic. We do YouTube marketing as well. We do Facebook marketing. So we're a huge fanatic of social media. There's a lot of great books out there, you know, for people. Like one of them that I would recommend, like Gary Vaynerchuk writes a book called Crush It that talks about your passion and video marketing and social media. And I think these are great books for anybody in any kind of business. And we as an agency, like we live by those principles that you should always be growing and learning and educating yourself because things change overnight. And so you've got to either change with the times and evolve, or you kind of get left in the dust and you're like, wait a second, you know, people are on the internet.
I was just
now?
up on this 5 minutes ago. What?
Right. And like you said, people, you go into an audition and they ask you, how many followers do you have on Twitter? Or they Google your name before you even come into the audition. And they go, hey, I saw that you did this. Or they go to IMDb and they see all your credits and they look at if you have any videos on YouTube. And
they already know more about you than you do when you walk in the room.
Exactly. So the internet has definitely become important. I mean, these days, you won't even meet somebody for coffee until you Google their name.
Oh,
so it's really important.
Make sure they're not a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, thanks for jumping on. And we're going to put this up as a recording. We'll send it over to you guys. And we'll do another one, like a part 2. And we'll get some of the other people on your team on board so that we can hear some of their stories as well. So
yeah,
thanks a lot.
What do you think thank you. We could do something maybe in class, like have just like somebody sit in for 5 minutes and switch seats and just have, you know, your favorite LOLAS story or whatever they want to talk about. Because what's good to get we advocate that we're the people's people, we're the people's acting school. We're friendly and approachable, and it would be great to show that point. Have these people come in and say where they came from and how because a lot of people that are with us have been with us for an extended period of time, and I think that just speaks true to what we talk about.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, thanks for jumping on. We'll end this. I'll send you guys a recording, and I'd love to have you guys on in the future. So
awesome! Thank you so much, Hugh. We really appreciate this. I don't think we would have been able to do this without you. Well, we absolutely wouldn't have, but thanks anyway.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. Bye, man.
All right. Thanks. Bye.